My son was 3 years old, and he liked all kinds of fantasy play. He liked to dress up as cowboys, as Indians. One of his favorite suits was a bear costume. But his most favorite thing to dress up in was his Barbie outfit. And not just any old Barbie outfit, but Barbie the Good Witch. So he had at 2.5, 3 years old, he had a white sort of chiffon thing and a tiara and a magic wand, and he would skip around and bless things and transform things. It was pure magic. Well, one day his older brother, Justin, was there with a bunch of older boys, and Alexander looked at him and thought, oh, this is great. Ran upstairs, got into all of his regalia, ran downstairs and went kind of like, ta-da! And these boys turned to him and looked at him, about 3 years older, about 6, and they just stared. Now these are, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. These are crunchy granola, you know, blue state liberal little boys. Not one mean thing was said to my son in his little dress. But I'm here to tell you, the look that they gave him and the energy of that look was red hot. Alexander turned beet red. I turned beet red just watching it. And without a word, my little 3-year-old boy ran upstairs, took off the dress, took off the tiara, stuffed himself in jeans, went downstairs, absolutely true, downstairs with the older boys into my carpentry workshop and started working on making swords and guns. And he never touched that dress again for the rest of his life. Now, the energy that passed between those boys and my little son is shame. The energy that passed between those boys and Alexander, and they were well-meaning boys, was humiliation. The imposition of man code on little boys is just that, an imposition. So the first thing I want to say about man code, about the stricture to be invulnerable in our lives, is that it's a lie. The second thing I want to say that it's imposed. The third thing I want to tell you is that the imposition of that code on whole little boys is traumatic. It is injurious. It does violence to the soul. And I wrote in my first book, I don't want to talk about it, a lot autobiographically. And with your permission, I'm going to read some from it. It's a little, some of it's a little raw. It's frankly easier for me to read it than it would be for me to speak it, so I beg your indulgence. There is a blackness that has lain inside the center of my being. When I close my eyes, it has been there. When I've been left alone for more than a few hours, I return to it. This jagged, empty, frightened feeling has been part of my internal atmosphere for as long as I can remember. My baseline, my steady state, the me I spent a good many years running from. I have come to understand that this dark, piercing unease at my center was my experience of emotional abandonment and fear, growing up in this culture, growing up in a dangerous household. It is a little boy's loneliness which I brought out with me into the world for the next 30 years. The fourth thing I want to talk to you about this code of masculinity is that it's costly. The way we turn boys into men traditionally in our culture is through disconnection. We teach them to disconnect from their hearts. We teach them to disconnect from weakness. We teach them to disconnect from their feelings. We teach them to disconnect from others. And what I want to tell you is that the cost of disconnection is disconnection. I've been working with men for 30 years. When I work with girls and women, the cultural wound, the essential wound, is most often disempowerment. And the healing move is to empower them. When I work with troubled men, the essential wound is disconnection. Men are cut off. And the healing move is to reconnect them. Reconnect them to themselves, to their wants and needs, to their feelings, and reconnect them to the people they love. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I am literally fighting the force of disconnection. As I make a decision to not be my usual intellectual and to stay connected, I am fighting against the force of disconnecting my head and my heart, and I'm fighting against the force of disconnecting and protecting myself in the way I'm relating to you. That force of disconnection is with men 24/7. It is relentless. And I am controversial, so there I am. One of the things I say is that the women's movement has won, amongst many wonderful things, the privilege for a lot of women to be as obnoxious as men have always been. Relational empowerment, as opposed to personal empowerment, brings in the factor of love. I will stand toe-to-toe with you. I will bring my full strength into this relationship. I will insist on health between us as much as I can, living the serenity prayer. I will insist on health between us because I love you, because you are my partner and I want you to succeed with me. I call this remembering love. And I challenge you in those moments, those heated moments, when you want to sort of hang back, you've gone through the process of pushing through your resistance to speak and stand up for yourself, and you're going to let him or her have it. Before you do that, there's something I want you to do. Shut up. Am I talking to prove a point?
Wait till I
Am I talking to control you? Am I talking to get even and retaliate? Well, then maybe I should go into the bathroom and splash some water on my face. And I shouldn't open up my mouth until I remember this. The person I am speaking to is the person I love. And if you can't remember that, remember it's the son of a gun you have to live with. The person I speak to is the person I love, and the reason why I'm speaking is to make things better between the two of us. Everything else is bullshit. Everything else is ego and pride. Let it go.